Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how you can build step by step an entire AI voice system that you can sell for more than $2,000 to colleges and higher education businesses. This system will instantly call every applicant they have, pre-qualify them, and even book campus tours automatically. So the key concept behind this build is that most schools lose leads in minutes. So what we want is to use AI to book campus tours instantly during the conversation and free up the admissions team so they just show up to close the hottest leads. So how does this system works? First, you will need to connect your existing lead database, let's say your CRM, Excel or Google Sheets. In this case, I'm going to use a Google Sheets to emulate our CRM. And then we're going to have an AI voice agent to call the leads conversationally and naturally. This AI voice agent will also be capable of identifying key values like who is interested, who is qualified depending on our criteria, and book campus tours to our calendar. And then you just have to show up and close the deal because the AI did all the heavy lifting. Now the main goals of the system would be first to reply instantly to all of our students, then have a better lead to conversion to application conversion, therefore improving the contact rates up to 50%, boosting enrollments, and freeing up our counselors for strategic outreach instead of just communicating with every student or every candidate that applies. So this is the full architecture of the system. First, as I said, we have our leads stored in a Google Sheets, and then we're gonna have an AI voice agent hosted inside Dapta that will call our leads instantly to qualify them and to book the college tours. The way we're gonna connect this is using also a feature inside Dapta called flows. So we're gonna build some flows to trigger the calls from our Google Sheets and then to store the information and send an email to the admissions team once a lead is qualified. As I told you, also the agent is capable of scheduling campus tours, and we're gonna do that via the Dapta's integration with cal.com, which is a system that handles your schedule and is able to connect seamlessly with Dapta. And then once a tour is booked, we can send a confirmation email to the person, and that's all being handled within cal.com. So I'm gonna show you how to build this inside Dapta from head to toe, and we're gonna start by explaining the Google Sheets right here. So this is the template that I have and where I store all the leads in. So this file basically consists of 4 sheets. The first one is where I'm gonna store or import all my leads. This has 3 columns. The first one is called status. I'm gonna explain just in a second why I include this column right here. Then we have the phone that we want to connect with or call. In this case, I just added a phone right here to test. And I'm also gonna feed the AI the name of the lead. You can also add a lot of other input variables, but in this case, we're gonna keep it simple and just include the name. Now in the contact results tab, I have kind of a full overview of how my campaign is going, how my call campaign is going. In this case, on the left side of your screen, you can see that this is the same information included in the first sheet, the status, the phone, and the name. In the middle part of our sheet, we have kind of the big overview of how the campaign is going. So the call attempts, the number of attempts we have made to connect to the person, the connected calls, successful calls, etc. And then on the right side, I also included the output variables that I will define inside my agent, because I want to know if that person was qualified and if he or she scheduled a tour for the campus. Then in the call log tab, the idea is to basically export each call right here. So start appending from row 2 onwards, all the calls that I am going to be making. So on each row, we're going to have each call stored, and then via formulas, we're going to translate that information to our main dashboard here in the contact results tab. So yeah, this call log only has all our variables and also the output variables here in blue. And finally, we have the setup tab, in which I have kind of the key parameters of our campaign. The most important one is the max call attempts, which is set as 3. And this is important because basically the status right here on the contact results sheet depends on that parameter right there. Because if we have attempted to connect with that person, with that lead more than 3 times, this is gonna turn to off automatically without us having to do that manually. This status is also, well, this is a formula and it also depends on the number of attempts of the connected calls. If I have connected once with that person, this is going to turn to off. And also if this is off, this will also be off right here. So this is basically just to handle the logic on how many tries that we need to make to each person. And yeah, just to have that information here instead of having to build a full logic in our flows in Dapta. Now, moving on to the Dapta side of things. Here we are on the main dashboard of the platform, and basically what we will do here is build and prompt our AI voice agent with all the actions and best practices. And we're gonna also use the Flow Studio feature to connect our agent with the multiple actions that it has to perform. So here we're gonna start by building our agent. So I go to voice agents, hit agents, and then new agent right here on the top right corner. And it is gonna ask me a few things to start working on my prompt. So the good thing about this platform is that it allows us to build a functional AI voice agent in just minutes because it uses AI to build our prompt as well. So I'm gonna feed some made up information right here. I would say that my college is named Dapta College. This is the company description. I will keep it simple, but as detailed, if you include more detail here, it is gonna improve the performance of the AI when building our prompt. But I'm just gonna keep it simple right here. The college. Now I'm gonna pick the language. In this case, I will use English. It will be called SAR, and the purpose would be to qualify my leads. Then in this important instructions field, I have to instruct the AI what my agent has to do. This is very important because, as I said, the platform uses AI to build our prompt, and if we are more detailed here on what our agent has to do, it is gonna do a better job at prompting our agent. So I prepared just basic instructions to give to the AI. I'm just telling it that it has to do two main things: schedule campus tours from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily, and also pre-qualify the leads. I included also the questions that it has to ask to the leads in order to do that. So the first question is, when do you plan to start your education? Qualified if planning to start in less than 6 months from now. And then what was your graduating GPA? Qualified if it was greater than 3.5. So we're gonna go save and continue, and we're gonna see that the AI is gonna start thinking and building our first version of our prompt. So here you go. It is including, it is building our prompt using the best practices, markdown formatting, and being very specific with the instructions. And there you go. So we have a first version of our prompt. I'm gonna check that after I set up all the settings. So yeah, here we have our agents. This is a very impressive first version of the prompt, and we're gonna just modify that in a second. But first I wanna explore the different sections of this agent feature. So right here in the context, we have the context that we fed in before. We can change it and try the improve with AI button as well to improve the prompts with more information if you wanna change it. But in this case, I'm gonna leave it like that. Then we have the possibility to test the agents, to just feed in a phone number, the dynamic variables or input variables that we wanna use, and make a test call. I'm not gonna do that yet. Then we can set up our agent. So this agent actions tab is an important part in particular because we want it to book appointments using cal.com. So here you have the two functions to check the calendar availability and book on the calendar using cal.com. We're gonna include those just in a second, but first I'm gonna explore the rest of the options. Then we have the conversation start behavior. I'm gonna leave it like that. Speech settings, I'm not gonna touch a lot of this, just improve a little bit of the interruption sensitivity, just leave it at that. And then voice settings, I wanna use a female voice. So we have a multiple options of voices right here. I'm gonna use this one, Amy, just because I like how it sounds. The voice model, I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm just gonna fine tune this a little bit. But yeah, this should be good right here, or you just can use the default values and it would be good. Then on the call analysis tab, this is where we're gonna define our output variables, the ones that we define here on our sheets. So these two, We're gonna define those so the AI is able to export or extract that from the call. Then we have the call log, where we're gonna have all the calls stored for this agent. In this case, we don't have any because I haven't made any calls with this agent. And then we have a metrics tab, which also contains key metrics or KPIs to measure the success of our agents. We don't have any information yet, but yeah, this is nice to have right here. Now, the main part here is to modify our prompt or check what the AI did. In this case, I just have as an input variable the contact name. I'm gonna erase these two. And I'm also gonna check kind of the main sections of the prompt to see if the AI did a good job. So it included an identity section. This looks good. Objectives, primary objective, secondary objective, etc. It included a context. This is based on the information that I gave it. In this case, well, this looks fine. Objection handling, style guidelines, constraints, this is all good. And this is an important part. This is the conversational flow section, in which the agent is gonna follow step by step the process that it has to perform. Now, the important part here is also, apart from the qualifying questions, it is the tour scheduling. Now I'm gonna modify this subsection right here inside the flow conversation section, because we want to include the actions to actually schedule the tours in our calendar. But to do that, we're gonna have to go to cal.com first, log in our account. So I'm gonna get started, and I have already an account. You're gonna have to sign in case you don't have one. But yeah, once you sign in, well, it seems I don't have an account yet. So you're gonna see the whole process on how to build an account in cal.com. So the first thing right here is to pick the Google Calendar that is gonna be attached to our events. In this case, I'm gonna use the calendar for my account. Then I can connect this with multiple applications. I'm just gonna leave it at Google Meets, even though it is an in-person tour. But just to block the time slots in my calendar, I'm just gonna use Google Meets, which is the predefined one. So here we are in cal.com. You can see here that this is the main dashboard, and I just created a new event for our college tour. I defined it as well, the title is college tour, the duration would be 60 minutes, and I'm gonna leave the location as Google Meets because this is the default location, even though it is an in-person meeting, an in-person tour. But just to block the time in the calendar, I'm just gonna leave it at that. And once I have this event created, you will have to extract two pieces of information. So if you go to connect your agent with the actions needed to book an appointment, you're gonna see that we need the API key from cal.com and also the event type ID. So to extract the event type ID, you're gonna go to the cal.com application inside your event, and you will see, well, you're not seeing this right now, but in the search bar in the browser, you will see the URL that looks like this. These numbers right here, kind of embedded inside the URL, are the event type ID. So you're gonna pick those, go to Dapta, and type those in the event type ID field. Then we need the API key, which we can extract here from Cal by going to settings and then to API keys. I created one previously, but I'm gonna just create another one. I'm gonna name it Dapta test. Just set it as never expires and save, and you're gonna copy and paste that one here, and that's it. So basically all the fields are filled out. The name of the function is going to be check calendar availability, then the instructions on when to use it. This is just basically a small prompt to tell the AI when to use this function, the two fields that we just extracted from cal.com, and then the time zone. So we have our first action right here, and we're gonna then add the other one, which is the one that books on the calendar. So the instructions is already filled out. The API key is the same one that we extracted previously, and the event type ID is also the same one. So I'm gonna go here, go to college store, and then yeah, just extract that number from my URL, and this looks good. Now, apart from this, from having the actions already connected to the agent, I'm gonna modify this prompt to actually reference those actions inside the prompt so the agent actually knows when to use them. So this is being done inside this section right here. I'm just gonna highlight all of this. And the good thing is that Dapta has this feature to improve this prompt with AI. So I'm gonna click on improve, and it is gonna ask me how specifically to improve this part. I'm gonna tell the AI to, well, first I'm gonna tell it I don't have a contact email variable, nor don't ask for those. I also want to reference the actions appointments. And I'm gonna tell it also the specific name of the functions. So to check the calendar, the function is named like this, and to book an appointment, this is the specific function. So once you click on improve, it is gonna start thinking and using AI to modify that specific section using the instructions that you gave it. So let's wait a second once it stops generating. So now you see that this just finished. In red, we have the previous version of our prompt, and in green, we have the new version with the new instructions. So you can see that it is now referencing the check calendar availability, etc., and it's not using these other variables that I don't have, which is the contact email and the contact phone. I'm gonna accept those changes, and it is gonna automatically import that into my main prompts. And that's it. So this is the V1 prompt that I want to use for this agent. One important part here is this current time variable that I'm using right here. This is not an input variable per se, it is a system variable. So this is a variable included by Dapta to give the agent context on what the date and time is, the current date and time. So this current time is in Pacific. If you want to change this to a different time zone, you're gonna have to go underscore and include the time zone in IANA format. So IANA format is a very specific format to for time zones. You can just look it up on Google and just include your time zone right here. In this case, you can do America, New York. I think it is one option to include Eastern time. You can also do but I don't know what else, but I'm just gonna leave it at that, as Pacific, because I'm trying to book for Pacific time. And that's it. So this is the first version of the agent. Now I want to also include the variables for my post call. So as I said, we need to include the two variables that we have here on our columns. So a scheduled tour is the first one. I'm just going to name it the same as the column. And we need to pick the type of variable right here. In this case, I want it to be a true or false, both of them. So for the first one, I'm going to pick Boolean, name it the same as the column, and instruct the AI on how to output this variable. So the instruction is really a very basic prompt. In this case, I am trying for it to answer the following question. Did the user schedule a campus tour? True if the user did, false if he or she didn't. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, create my variable, and go ahead with the next one. So again, pick Boolean, name it qualified. Is the user qualified according to the qualification criteria? I want to also include the lead qualification criteria here, even though it is already included in the main prompt. I wanted to include it here so the AI knows how to extract this data, how to define when a lead is qualified and when it is not. So like that. So a lead is fully qualified if they meet both criteria, GPA greater than 3.5, and they plan to start their education within the next 6 months from now. So that's it. So we have the two variables right here, and then we're gonna have to connect this to a flow that I'm gonna build just in a second, and I'm gonna show you how. Now, using the Flow Studio feature, I'm gonna build the two flows needed to connect our agent with our CRM, in this case Google Sheets. So if we go back to our diagram, we need to connect this part, this first part right here, and then also build these other integrations with Google Sheets to export the information and to also send an email to the admissions team. And we're going to do that all within the same platform here in Dapta, under the same roof. So let's go back to Dapta. I have the two flows prepared, but in this case, I'm just gonna start from scratch. So let's go to new flow. And once we go to new flow, we have a bunch of templates to use. In this case, I'm gonna use the template to call a list of contacts from Google Sheets, which is what I want. I'm gonna use this template, and this is gonna get me to this canvas right here. This is basically very similar to what you can see in Make and 8N or something like that. We have a trigger, and then we have a bunch of actions that we can connect with each other to perform a certain flow. So in this case, this is the trigger, this is start node. We can set it to be a scheduled task or a webhook. Ideally, for this case, you would need to set it up as a scheduled task because you want it to bring the leads from the Google Sheets every certain amount of time. In this case, because I want to just test it out, I'm just going to set it up as a webhook. Now, the next node is going to be a Google Sheets node. This is already included here because I used a template, but if you want to include new nodes or something like that, you just hit this plus button right here to open up the actions panel. You will see here on the right side of your screen all the possible actions divided by categories. So in this case, I'm just going to type Google Sheets, and here you can see that we have a bunch of actions for Google Sheets specifically. In this case, this get context node right here is just this get rows, this same get rows. You want to include a new one, you just drag and drop inside the canvas and you can use it. So once you have your get contacts here, this is connected to our trigger, and you're just gonna have to connect your credentials and set all these fields up. So important part here is to pick the right document, pick the right sheet that we wanna import the contact from. And it is also very important that we include some filters. So we only want to bring in the leads that have status as on in our Google Sheets. So if you remember, here on our contact results sheet, we have a status that is formula dependent, and we only want to include or import every certain time the leads that have this status as on, just to handle all the retry logic. So yeah, this is already set up. So after we set up this node right here, this is gonna output a list of contacts to call. And what I wanna do now is iterate over that list so we can call each lead independently. And for that, I included this node right here, which is basically a node to loop over a list of items. And I'm passing it the full list of items to iterate. Now within the loop routes right here, you can see that I'm trying to call that lead, and then if this fails, I'm registering that error in the log call sheets in our document. So we do that for every single lead that comes in our list. Now the way to set this up is in this call contact node, I want to include the following. So first we have the from number. This is the number that we want to call from. This is the one by default, but you can also verify your own phone number, so it is masked with your own phone number, and your leads actually see your phone number when they get the call. The to number is the one that we want to call. So this is the specific phone for that lead, for that item. So we're referencing that here in the to number field. Then we pick the agent that we want to use. In this case, I want to use Sarah lead qualification call, which is the agent that we built. And then I define the input variables that I'm using during the prompt. In this case, we only have one, which is contact name. And contact name should be the name that comes from our Google Sheet for that specific lead. So I'm also mapping that here. So value is the value that comes from the Google Sheets. Property name is the name of the property that we're using during our prompt or in our prompt. So this is the first flow right here. After we have this, we're gonna save it. And once you finish building this flow, we have this first part already built. So this first part is checked. Now we have to do this other flow that happens after the call's finished. So to do that, we're gonna have to build a new flow from scratch. I already built it just to show you how it is done, but I'm gonna walk you step by step on how to build this. So this is basically just a webhook that receives the information from the call once it finishes, and this comes from the agent itself. So you can see here, for example, this last execution, how it goes. So this is the full body of the call. This includes a lot of information, including the variables that we set up as output variables. So we can see here our two variables defined as false for this specific call. And now I'm going to use that object to basically perform the two actions that we want to perform. The first one is to log that call inside our Google Sheets. I already include the mapping, but basically what you need to do is just include a Google Sheets node, add the operation, append the row, and once you connect your sheet, you're gonna see all of the columns within that sheet. And for each column, you're gonna have to just map the specific part of the object of the call that you want to output to that column. So you can see here for our two output variables, scheduled tour and qualified, I am mapping it to the information that comes from the call. So the way to do it within Dapta is with these two curly brackets and then just referencing the specific part on the JSON object. And once we finish doing this, basically, I also included a conditional because we want to do this part right here. So this is the part that happens only when the lead is qualified. I want to send an email to the admissions team to notify of a priority lead when that lead is qualified. So I already have a variable that defines that, which is the variable that I defined as qualified. So I'm telling it if that specific variable equals true, I want to send an email. If it doesn't, then I'm just gonna finish the execution. So not qualified. That just give a response in a text format, and that's it. So yes, this is basically the full system. We have built the two flows needed to connect our Google Sheets. We have built our Google Sheets and also created our agent, and now it is time to test it. There is one more thing I forgot to mention, and it is how to set up this Gmail node right here. So the Gmail node, you're gonna have to create or add your credentials. It is a very straightforward process as well. You just go to add credential and follow the process. You're gonna have to add your Gmail account. And after you add your credentials, you're gonna have to fill this out. So the first field right here is the email address that we're gonna send the email to. In this case, I'm gonna send it to my own inbox from this personal account. So it is gonna be from this account to this address. You can also add CCs, whatever. This is the subject line. In this case, the subject line for this demo would be just hot lead to contact, and then add the text or the body of the email. In this case, this is the full body I wanted to include. I wanted to include the phone number and also the name of the lead to contact. So this is just emulating us emailing our own team and giving the information of that lead to our admissions team. Okay, so now in order to test the whole system, I'm just gonna trigger this flow, and ideally this is gonna import the only contact that I have here, which is this phone number, connect to the phone number that I have right here in person. I'm gonna receive a call, I'm gonna talk to the agent, and once the call is finished, it is supposed to register that call right here, including the output variables that we defined, and also to send the email if I'm qualified. I'm gonna try to be qualified in this case. So let's just run this flow. You can see here that as soon as I click run the flow, it is gonna show me a clear debug of what's happening during the execution. In this case, it is waiting for the first item of the list, and I should receive the call in a second to this phone number. Right here, I'm receiving that call. Let's just answer.
Hello, is this David?
Yes, this is David.
Hi, David. This is Sarah from Dapta College. I'm calling today to see if you're interested in learning more about our programs and potentially doing a campus tour. Is now a good time to chat for a few minutes?
Sure, yes.
Great. To help me understand your needs better, could you tell me when you're planning to start your education?
Actually next month.
That's great. Starting next month means you're ready to take the next step. And could you also share what your graduating GPA was?
It was 3.7.
Excellent. A strong academic record like that is a great foundation. Based on your interests and qualifications, you seem like a strong candidate for Dapta College. We'd love for you to see our campus firsthand. We offer campus tours daily at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Which time works best for you?
Which availability do you have?
Let me check the availability for today's campus tours at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. It looks like we have availability today from 1 o'clock p.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. Would that time work for you?
Yeah, I can go today, yes.
Perfect. I'll book your campus tour for today at 1 p.m. and send you a confirmation email with all the details. Your campus tour has been successfully booked for today at 1 p.m. You'll receive a confirmation email shortly with all the details. Do you have any questions for me right now?
No, bye. Have a good one.
Thank you, David. It was a pleasure speaking with you. We look forward to seeing you at Dapta College for your tour.
Oh,
Have a
bye,
wonderful
bye, bye. Yeah. So supposedly this actually registered the call here. Well, you can see a bunch of errors right here, but this is because it tried to import blank leads right here. So it imported this rows right as well, apart from the real one. So yeah, those tries basically just outputted an error, but I can just delete these rows, and you can see here the whole result of my call. In this case, you can see here that I was qualified and I scheduled a tour. You will see the whole transcript. The duration was badly mapped on my side, so it is undefined. But you can also you also have the recording URL and the rest of the information from the call. In this case, what we want is these two variables right here. And now I want to see in my inbox if I received the email. So here, right here, you will see, yeah, that I received the information from the lead, which in this case was me, the name David, the phone number, my phone number, and yeah, just there is and yeah, just information. So supposedly there is a qualified lead on the pipeline that I must contact as the admissions team, and the lead info is this one. So this email was sent just because I am a hot lead. If I wasn't qualified, then the admissions team wouldn't receive that particular email. So that's it. That was the whole system. Hope you enjoyed it. This is a very, very, very high value system, in particular for higher education, for the higher education industry or colleges to automatically contact the leads that they have, so they don't fall through the cracks. If you want a system similar to this one, but applied to your business, just go to the description below and you will find the link to my free consultation calls, where I will do my best to help you. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.